Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. I hope you're good, hope you're well. A very important video today based on the planned protest against Liverpool. Now, people will know I have been part of the protest groups in the past, but it's come again and time for a new protest about this board. And I've got the guy spearheading it. Jay, how you doing, Jay, bro?
I'm good. Tired, good, but it's getting closer to the time, isn't it? So excitement's starting to set in a bit.
It certainly is now. Obviously, Jay and I met at the previous protest we did. I think it was the Manchester United one before the Trust one, wasn't it?
That was, yeah. So it was the United game the start of last season. For similar sort of reasons, wasn't it? It was sort of the manager who didn't necessarily get what he wanted. But we'll get into that a bit later anyway.
Exactly. So basically, as people will know, there is that planned protest. I think this really started taking shape after the Chelsea game, was it? Where people were like, "That's it, enough." Is that where it was, Jay?
I think it's a build-up of situations. I mean, it seems to be Groundhog Day in regards to we've hit a point in the season we're stricken down by so many injuries or suspensions. Obviously, this year it has purely been injuries, which, yeah, you can look at it and sort of go, well, it's a freak occurrence. At the same time, if we had the players to be rotating in and out of games and the manager had been sufficiently backed, then we might not be even having this conversation. Yeah. But again, it's the Tottenham cycle. It's been sort of rewashed, and another manager, in my opinion, has been left quite short, especially on the signings front, of ready-made players.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like you said, the thing is, it keeps happening. And this time, there does seem to be a hell of a lot of traction with it this time, doesn't it? Like never before. And I think it was clearly shown with the fans at Southampton, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the away boys deserve 95% of the credit. They made their voices heard, they made their opinions heard. And the thing is, it is completely shown you can show your anger towards the people that are running the club as well as getting behind the team.
Right.
As for people saying, oh, if you're chanting Levy out, you're not going to get behind the team, blah, blah, blah. We were 5-0 up and the players were playing for us. And it sort of says what it needs to be. And I think the breaking points for a lot of fans is when you get a player of Christian Romero's structure, you can come out and say, oh, he's pushing for his move away. At the same time, come out and say, look, the players are feeling our frustrations as fans.
Yeah, and I have to say as well, I appreciate you coming on to do this video as well. We're going to get into things a bit more. But the most important thing was people want to know the face of the person, or people that they can see when they're going there and say, right, I know who this guy is. And obviously, there's been a lot of things. Before we get into what the protest is about, obviously, we had Return of the Shelf.
Yep.
Who obviously has been trying tirelessly to work with the singing section.
Yep.
Work. You had Spurs Song Shigs that obviously withdrew because of all the work they were doing and getting nowhere. And they tweeted quite publicly today about Squid Games and how this is going on, but they can't have the music off the screen. And then obviously THFC Flags, who are behind the TIFOs and everything. This has had a major swing in things as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, these are guys that are trying to improve our match day experience. And don't get me wrong, people say, oh, we get too many tourists. Welcome to 2024. Every club gets tourists. Every single club. When you grow into this mega global brand, you're going to have people coming to visit. Obviously, we've got players like Son, who in Asia, he's one of the biggest figures in the continent. He's huge. And it's going to happen. At the end of the day, these are people that are still paying their money to come support the team that we love as well. Whether it's for their undesired love towards a specific player or whether or not they're genuinely wanting to become Spurs supporters. And sort of this is exactly why we want this protest to remain peaceful. We don't want people to feel uncomfortable whilst we're there. And we certainly don't want people to feel like this is torches and pitchforks to chase everybody that has a different opinion to us. And obviously we will touch on it when I released sort of that micro statement as such yesterday. I touched on exactly why we wanted to go the way that hopefully we'll go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just quick. We're going to touch on social media as well, and social media and obviously the protest that we did, that we all stood by. Listen, there were a lot of guys that turned up. Obviously, the numbers weren't great. It got taken the mick out of it. Listen, 2 years ago, it was a free-for-all. There were arguments on both sides. They were calling out not just YouTube channels, but big Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts. It was everything. But what I realised, I think a lot of people have realised, is the way I describe it, Jay, is imagine there's Mount Levy instead of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
We've got people at the top here, like yourself, myself, the people I protested with, other channels, other YouTubers, other big social media accounts. But those people that are climbing the mountain, the only way you're going to get them to the top is by engaging, good debate, and not just going, where have you been? You're right, you're what if. And this has been, I think, even I can see it myself. The interactions on Twitter, which we all know is a vile cesspit.
Yeah.
There's a lot more agreement now, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is collectively what Levy has done for us commercially. You'd put him up there with arguably the best chairman in the league. He's marketed the club insanely well. He's placed in this amazing stadium. He's got the best training facilities. But the issue is there's a certain point of where there's the focus on the commercial side and where does football come into it. And the disconnect from the fans, i.e. Squid Games today, it's not a read of the room as such. And fans like myself, and I can't speak for every fan, I can only say how I feel. It's just hit the point of, I'm 28 years old. I've seen my club lift one trophy that I remember. I've grown up in Tottenham and I've got mates that are Arsenal fans. I'm bored of being the butt of the joke.
Yeah. Realistically,
we're a sleeping giant with the infrastructure to be amongst the best in Europe, if not one of the best. So obviously, yeah, it's everything. And sort of these big Twitter accounts now have started to voice their opinions on it. And I think over the years, it's very easy to point out certain podcasts and go, oh, this person's doing it for this reason. This person's not doing it for this reason. At the end of the day, there's podcasts that have to remember that their viewers may have split opinions.
Yeah.
So obviously a big chunk of Twitter now, I believe there's a high percentage who are backing this protest and being very supportive. People that aren't necessarily too keen to come out and instantly be, oh yeah, I'm Levy Out, I'm ENIC Out. They're supporting it, saying the way that it's being structured this time feels a bit different to past times. And obviously that's the goal.
All right, but listen, Jay, it certainly is. And like you said, it's different this time. And I think what has helped is, like you said, there are big accounts. And listen, the media on Sky Sports, TNT, the written media, that it's become a constant thing. It really has. And like you said, it was always a lack of numbers with us. There was always a lack of numbers. Did we conduct ourselves correctly? Compared to this one, maybe not. But that, did we do the hard work? Yes. Could we have handled it a bit better or been better organised and had those accounts at the time? Possibly, but I don't know if they were there. But these accounts now doing it, and I have to say, I'm not going to call people out by name, but I want to say a big shout out to quite a few people, and you've probably seen them, Jay. There are accounts, and some people with very big traction, may not be biggest in numbers, but big traction when they tweet. And they're even going, do you know what? I have to admit, I think I've been mugged. Rather than just saying defending. Some accounts that have been so defensive of him have actually turned around and said, people that have been Levy Out, I think you were right all along. So it's been on both sides, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, as I said, people have their own beliefs and reasoning behind why they support Levy or why they may not. And obviously, the main thing is collectively, we all support Tottenham. We're all Tottenham fans. We all want what's best for the club. We all want what's best for the fans. We want what's best for the players. And I think, as you touched on, sometimes protests, they might get organised correctly and one thing may change. And obviously, this isn't to say that we're going to have a flawless protest on Sunday and then a flawless protest against Wolves. We know there's going to be hiccups. And obviously, there's a big support chain helping us. Obviously, yourselves, people reached out and offered support. And believe me when I say the week's been quite hectic with the amount. Obviously, I've got my 2 kids that I'm trying to balance in between work. It's just making sure now that collectively everybody's opinion gets taken on board. And I just want to shout out Change for Spurs. Obviously, I started this 2 weeks ago, and instantly they've reached out and said, look, how about we have a look at fully committing and doing this correct and making sure everything's laid out. We can have guys who can give input, obviously, like yourself, bro. I've been very keen to get on with you. And it's the support network that's there with it. And obviously, constantly, if people have questions towards why I'm doing it, I'm more than happily going to share it. I've been a bit trigger happy on Twitter at times. I'm more than vocal. I've toned it down a bit because at the end of the day, I don't want to present myself as this person that's trying to bring in a witch hunt against Levy and ENIC. I want to raise awareness to the reasons why I believe the club's failing.
Correct. I mean, we've got a couple of slides to go through, and people will realise in the second and third slide, I've got my glasses on because it's a little bit small, and I know the resemblance when I have my shaved head and my glasses. So let's just get that out of the way. But what I will say, as we're talking about that, man, like you said a little while ago, myself, who is as staunch Levy Out and ENIC out and new ownership as you can, I will always say what he's done commercially for this football club is on another level. There's no denying it. That stadium, when I walked into it for the first time, and even the last time at the 2-2 Man U draw when Stellini or Mason were in charge, it's an architectural masterpiece. There's not a solitary, the actual building itself, what it offers, the multi-purpose functions that it can do, all the money going into it, it can't be rivaled. He's done exceptional.
It gives you goosebumps in there. And that's what I mean. We feel like the best way to explain it is we're a small person trying to put on big person's clothes at the moment. And for whatever reason that may be, I get we've lost arguably our best ever striker in Harry Kane. We've lost players over the past because they have had clubs like Real Madrid, or for whatever reason they've decided it's their time to move on. At the end of the day, I think waking this club up, and don't get me wrong, the point of this protest, yes, ideally we would love new owners. We're not naive to believe that it's going to be Sunday, we're going to protest at 3 p.m. Come 5 o'clock, we'll have a club statement saying Daniel Levy's changed his mind, he's selling the club. And obviously the other thing I want to touch on is people who raise the argument of who is going to come in. Yeah. Realistically, we do not know what number is written down on that piece of paper that Daniel Levy probably carries in his pocket. At the end of the day, if Daniel Levy was to turn around and say, look, I'm going to sell up 70% of the club, I want to be within the club, I want to run the commercial side, but I'm going to hand the full footballing side over, that could be incredible for us. Because you think of the marketing, these are people that have made so much money in their life that I couldn't even dream of making. And as Simon Jordan said it, he said it best, nobody tells a billionaire what to do.
Correct.
That's what the point of this is. We're not telling him what to do. We want to make ourselves heard, and we want to be clear on what we believe would be best for this club.
Well, there you go. Well, now we're going to get onto the nuts and bolts of it, because obviously the protest is coming out. This will be out. I'm going to pretend that it's 6 o'clock Wednesday evening UK time. This will be premiered. It will be 6:13 roundabout now. To see into the future. But we've got 3 slides to bring up. The first one is obviously, Jay, this is the main, which I think has been brilliantly done, with Bill Nick. Obviously, with the details. I'm going to read it out, Jay, then I'll let you talk a bit, then we'll... No, it's the 22nd of April. December. I'll be there in April versus Liverpool. 3 o'clock, and I believe kickoff's 4 p.m. or is it 4:30, Jay?
4:30.
4:30, so 3 till 4, which is obviously when we're doing our protest. They're like 4 hours long. This is easy, concise, 1 hour, which is brilliant. Meeting place opposite the club shop, and we ask fans to join us for a peaceful protest against the board. Our aim is to highlight our dissatisfaction with the club's current direction in footballing matters. We strongly urge everyone to maintain respect with no anti-Semitic or abusive chanting on the day. We will provide fans with balloons and flyers to help amplify our message. And before, actually, I'll read this bit first. We ask to release the balloons on the 24th minute of the game to signify the years ENIC have been in charge, following by chanting Let's create a party atmosphere and show our passion for the club whilst keeping it peaceful. Together, we can make a strong and unified statement. And then, obviously, the great man Bill Nick has spoken. We must consider our supporters. Without them, there will be no professional football. Now, Jay, obviously, question I'll let you speak a little bit about that, but I remember when we had the balloons, and they obviously got a lot of attention. Talk to us about what you want to talk there, but talk about the balloons and the posters.
Yeah, the thing is, for us, it's all about raising awareness, and sort of we understand that Daniel Levy's probably going to barely flick his eyes at what we're doing. We understand that numbers multiply, and if it's done correctly, as I've touched on, numbers will grow. People are sharing the same frustrations. At the end of the day, the balloons, people are saying, oh, they'll fly out the stadium. They won't. If we get 5 or 6 of them that float onto the pitch and they get picked up by cameras, it then multiplies. For example, look at Southampton, and I'm going to touch on the away boys again.
Yeah.
Boys that were away, they made it loud and clear, and they cut Daniel Levy, and it was bothering him. And people can say he's not going to be bothered. He's not going to be bothered. You're talking about a guy that's been marketing this club for years. He knows what bad press is. He knows if something's being picked up. Even if this forces him in the January window to go, right, and what do you want? I'm going to get it. But we won't stop at that point. We understand that we can see that, and he's trying to get a reactionary change out of us fans. And from there, obviously, we see where it goes.
Yeah, I'll just add 2 things to that before we bring up the ones where I'm going to have to do my readings from the phone. The balloons, the good thing we're promoting the awareness, and we've seen it before. Sky pans out all over the place, or TNT, whoever's picking it up. Sky will be at 4:30. When something's going on, they're going to be fully aware that on the 24th minute, and I'm sure even if the balloons do fly up with their HD cameras, the spider, they will get it. Obviously, the pitch is where it wants to be. But if, let's say, 200, just a random number of balloons go up in the air, it's definitely gonna get traction. And I know for a fact from when we did it, obviously he says things won't get into him, but this is a man who turns up the stereo at halftime and full time to drown out boos and drown out chanting. But right, the second couple of slides you got here now, Jay, these are about reasons for the protest, isn't it? So I've got it here. I'm going to read it here because it's a lot clearer for me. So, protest, 24th minute. Meeting point, St. Francis de Sales Church, opposite Club Shop. The date is what we've got. Here we go. Action. 24th minute balloon release protest. We'd like to thank the many fans who offered to donate money towards the protest, but now we are operating a self-funded movement. We encourage attendees to bring balloons or banners that reflect how they feel on the day. We will distribute balloons and posters to those who wish to send a message to the board at the 24th minute. We ask fans before the game, we will ensure that the protest is entirely. Our goal is a message, a demand for change. We acknowledge the past protests may not have gone as planned or were misunderstood. This time, we are working diligently behind the scenes to ensure everything is executed correctly, bringing together fans with diverse views but shared love for the club. And then you've got a list. I'm going to read the first 3 that are on here, Jay, for the what we hope to achieve.
Yep.
1, clarity on football objectives. A clear plan for the club's core footballing goals and key milestones. When will success be defined as silverware be achieved? 2, improved transfer policy. A shift towards recruiting players who can immediately evaluate the team's level, in addition to nurturing youth for the future. Align wage policies with all those of more successful clubs, many of which generate less revenue than ours. 3, increased investment in player salaries, a higher percentage of revenue allocated to player salaries, enabling the club to recruit the best talent. Bring spending in line with the clubs we aim to compete with the traditional top 4.
Yeah.
Fire away, Jay.
So, obviously, touching on them points, the three key points there, they're very, very self-explanatory. We understand the budgets were cut. Well, sorry, the wage bill was cut through the summer. Obviously, we had a fantastic start to the summer in regards to shifting players off of the wage bill. Yep. And it lined us up thinking, oh, well, if that's going, we could expect the big signings. And wanted 7 players. Out of the 7 players that he wanted, of established players, he got 1, which was Dom Solanke. And obviously, I'll sing my praises. I'm a massive Solanke supporter. I will be. And people say, oh, his goals aren't coming. The thing is, it's what he's doing in the build-up. But going back to them points, I mean, we can only echo that. All we aim to do is we want to push towards what can improve the club. And for people that have stepped away from this club this week alone, I mean, it just echoes that further, that there is definitely now a big divide between the board and the fans.
100%. So now I'll read the final page, which I'm going to bring here. And it is, we have come together. There's a bit of a reverb on my mic, so apologies if you're watching this, but you're getting the gist. We have come together to express our collective concerns about how the current ownership is running our club. We are exhausted by the ongoing cycle of instability, the so-called Tottenham Hotspur manager cycle, which repeats every 18 months with no sign of clear strategic change from the top. Over the past 6 years, we have seen the wage bill halve, recruitment standards for ready-made players decline, and fans increasingly priced out. For example, the removal of the concessions for over 65s is just one of the glaring issues. Numerous groups who once worked closely with the club, such as Return of the Shelf, Spurs Song Sheet and THFC Flags, have distanced themselves. This is due to broken promises, dysfunctional operations, and a lack of regard for fans. Views on improving the matchday atmosphere and experience. The minutes of the Fan Advisory Board meetings made it clear that the club manipulates discussions, failing to align with the recommendations of the fan-led review, or operate in good faith. Even our own Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, THST, obviously the THST is being ignored, especially on critical issues like ticketing prices and concessions for seniors. In less than 2 years, we have seen general admission tickets prices rise by 19%, while season tickets have increased by 6%. We can only assume the club will increase prices again in the new year. In addition, the club has implemented hidden increases, such as adding more Category A games and allocating more tickets to corporate sponsors, premium members, and to football tourism parcels. These changes are to prioritise the club's revenue and valuation over its loyal fans. And the final paragraph. The club appears to be moving further away from its loyal supporter base. They are not listening to the fans, not engaging with the fan groups, and seem singularly focused on the asset value and its continued growth. This is not how Tottenham Hotspur Football Club should be run. We are a historic establishment which deep roots and a proud list of honours. Sadly, the current ownership's focus is on everything but success and everything but its loyal fans. Jay, that's a brilliant statement. Whoever put that together, it's bang on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I can't take full credit for it. There's been numerous inputs. Yes, I was the one who wrote it out. But this is just some of the things people have relayed back to myself. And I mean, at the end of the day, we know it's coming. There's going to be an increase in ticket prices. And again, if, say, for example, we don't win anything this year, and I'm praying that we do, it's just going to be another one of them seasons where we see ticket prices going up, the price of the match shirts, for example, going up. Mm-hmm. I'd love to be able to walk into the shop and buy myself or my little boy a Spurs kit from there for him to wear. And the issue is that at the moment, you could go to somewhere like Sports Direct, DHgate, and I get DHgates are copies, but you can go to these places and you can buy them for a more reasonable price. Yep. Obviously, them points again in there just echo further why this divide seems to be happening. And it seems to be, for example, this week we've had Squid Game released, we've had 50 Cent released, we've had all these other bits, and there's so many bits that could potentially be added.
Yep.
But instead, will we see this money being filtered back into the transfer budget? Would we see this being given to players? Having the brazenness to go out and sort of break our transfer rule that we don't pay players X amount of money. At the end of the day, you can shop in Poundland and pay extraordinary prices, but you can't go into somewhere like Flannels and pay Poundland prices and expect to get the same quality. And this is all we want. We want some sort of recognition or clarity at least, because it seems to be we get the same transfer mill of transfers every year. We're in for this player. We're interested in this player. All summer long, we had it with Neto and Eze. We want these players. Angie's desperate for these players. And I get Neto probably did use us as a stopgap to get to Chelsea. But again, we offered something extremely stupid like Oliver Skip and a set amount of money.
Yep.
You're talking, if you want to be a big sustainable club, you pay big sustainable prices and return on investment. If Levy was to lift 2 or 3 cups, could you imagine the income that would bring to the club?
Correct. You look at it, and like you said, you touched on there with Neto, and there's been others, but I'm tired of being the stocking horse. We want to be the club that's getting someone that's used someone as a stocking horse, not being the stocking horse, isn't it, Jay?
Well, this is it. And it's sort of like, if you was to look realistically at this January window, and I know January is notoriously hard. Steve Hitchin, plain and simple, told us he hates January. I understand you can't just go out there and you can't just take a first-team player from a team. At the same time, if you was to go out to one of these clubs and say, this is what we're willing to pay to have this player, that club will think financially, that's what's best for us. Instead, we are that club that sits there financially and thinks, what can we get on the cheap, or what will benefit our books more better?
There you go. Well, Jay, listen, we're going to wrap it up there. But I just want to say to you, Change for Spurs, THFC flags, the Spurs song sheet, Return of the Shelf, the people, all the people, the Twitter groups, the YouTube channels that are coming together, and obviously the brand new fans that may be feeling the way we do about the ownership, but weren't for years. Go along, support Jay. You've now got a face to the name, which is one of the main reasons we wanted to do it as well. Jay, thanks for coming on. We'll go something based. Is there one final message you want to put out there to people?
Yeah, and it's, if you feel the want to come and support, or even want to come past protest just to grab a balloon or an A4 sheet of paper that's going to be showing the Levy Out stuff to support us within the ground, you don't have to be stood there outside us with us. You can get yourself into a nice warm pub with one of the balloons. Just please abide by the keeping it respectful. If you are standing with us, obviously that is the biggest message we can push. We don't want it to be seen as antisocial. We don't want to see it, have it seen as hooliganism. Hooliganism, yeah.
Hooliganism,
yeah. We don't want it to go down routes. And obviously there's people in here that have their beliefs on the protest. If you have a belief where you don't believe it's the right thing, you're fully entitled to your opinion. Right. We just hope that we can be the start of a change for this club that's for the better.
Exactly, and hopefully if it goes well, this isn't just a one-off. This will be continued.
We do have some plans as well.
There you go. Well, the same plan for Wolves, and everyone, if you can, get out and support Jay, Change for Spurs, and all people that want to change at this beloved football club of ours. Have a good evening, everyone. Jay, pleasure as always.
Thank you.
See you later, buddy.